Good morning. Today I'm going to teach you a little bit about a free online program called PhotoPea. PhotoPea is something that you can use in place of Photoshop, and so for those of you that are using your Chromebooks, this should work out really well for you. So today we're just going to start off with just a simple way to remove a background image, and then my next tutorial will have something that will show how a little more complicated one. So you will see on the side here that there are some ads running, and the reason why they're running is because, like I said, it's a free version. If you want to buy the upgraded version, you can, and you could even download it to your computer like you would Photoshop. I don't know off the top of my head what the cost is, but you could look at that, and see. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we will go to PhotoPea.com. It's kind of hard here on my screen. If you can see it up there, you'll type in that address and it will take you to a program like this. Now you might get it first, it might be up with a great big X, black X over here. If that happens, just simply click that big black X. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get a new project started. So we'll go to File, New, and the first thing that may come up is you can give it a name right off the top, okay? And I'm just going to call this tutorial 1, okay? Make it really simple. I can set my dimensions. I can leave my background here. Right now it's 100 by 1500 by 1500, okay? The DPI's 72 is a good starting typical thing. Oops. Oh, excuse me, I had to use my sneeze sleeve there. Okay, we can hit create. And in this case, I had gotten my dimensions were for a square. If yours are a rectangle, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's all good. Now you'll see that I have a white, excuse me, that I have a white background. If I turn off my eyeball, just like in Photoshop, okay, I can turn that off, and when it's got the checkerboard, we know it's transparent. Now over here to collapse, you may get yours may be looking like this. So it's a little bit different than in Photoshop, where we might hit the X or we might hit the hamburger. But in here in PhotoPea, we hit these brackets instead. Okay, and in this case, I want my layers to be up. So I'm going to close that back again. Whoops, let me go back. Well, what the heck? Okay, I want my layers to be up here, which is more important to me than these other things. So I've got this going on, and I'm going to put an image in here so that we can learn how to remove the image really, really simply. So I'm going to go to Google and get myself an image. And I'm going to search for basketball. And again, we're going to make this simple. So I'm going to pick one that's already got kind of a good solid background. So I'm going to pick this one off of Amazon. Now, normally, if I was working in Photoshop, I might right click and say Save Image. However, I'm working in PhotoPea, and PhotoPea is really nice for Chromebook users. So you could simply copy the image instead. So we're going to hit Copy. Then I'm going to go back to PhotoPea, and I'm going to go to Edit, Paste. Now there is a shortcut, Control V. And now I've got this pasted. Now it might look like the background's already gone. However, remember there's these shadows here, so it's not gone. If I turn it off, you'll see in a minute that the white background is still behind it. Okay, so we want to resize this. Now you could simply go into Edit, Free Transform. Okay, if you do that and it's a small picture, your handles will be shown. If you've downloaded one that's got a high resolution, your handles are going to be way up high, and in that case you may want to reduce it to 50% using this. Okay. Now we're going to reduce this, so I have to hold down Shift, because if I don't, I'm going to get myself a, squishy looking basketball. So I'm going to hold down Shift to maintain the aspect ratio. I'm going to make it about this big, because this may go into my tutorial for the next time as well. So I'm going to hit Enter to accept, and I've got this going on. All right, now I want to remove this background, and you may say, yeah, but it's already removed. But no, see those shadows? It's not. So I'm going to turn off this eyeball on the background layer so I can see what I'm working with. Next, I'm going to go over here to this tool, and I'm using the magic wand like I would in Photoshop. You could hit W a couple times and toggle till you get the magic wand selected. Now I'm going to go up to the tolerance. This is white, okay? So it doesn't need a super high tolerance, but I'm going to go ahead and make it 20. If it lets me. I want to, this doesn't matter to me, but this contiguous does matter. Contiguous means it's all connected, okay? I can leave the feathering at 0 because I don't need a soft edge. I want a sharp edge. And then I'm going to select the part of the background that I want to get rid of. So once I do that, you'll see I've got these marching ants, okay? Now, normally I would just hit delete. However, if I hit delete, okay, that's all good. The only thing is that it is destructive. And that means that later, if you wanted to go back, you wouldn't be able to get it back. So I'm going to go Control Z, get that back. And I'm going to deselect this background right now. So I'm going to hit Control D. And I'm going to, I have to move my little screen down a little bit here. I'm going to go down to the bottom here to a raster mask. But before I do that, I want to check that my colors are correct. Now, this is your top color and your bottom color, and you want to make sure it's white and black. And you can simply hit the D, just like in Photoshop, to get your default white and black. But for whatever reason, it's a different color. Like mine came up red one time, and it's much simpler just to hit D. Now I'm going to be selected onto this layer, and I'm going to select a layer mask. Now we call it a layer mask in Photoshop, but PhotoPea calls it a raster mask. And we'll know that it's a mask because it's sitting right here, okay? Now we want to get rid of all this. So we want to make sure our mask is selected. We're going to take our magic wand. Oh, let me go back here. Made a mistake. Okay, let me try the magic wand. And then let me do the layer mask. Trouble in River City. Control Z, by the way, is your mistake. Oh, duh. Okay, I've got this selected, but I want to get rid of, I want to mask everything but the basketball, and right now I've got the basketball selected, so I need to inverse that, okay? And so what I can do is go to Select, Inverse. Now my basketball, this should work. Cross my fingers. Okay, yes, all right. Whew, wasn't sure about that. Now, do you see here where I've got this little edge here? I use that hand to move that over. I'm Control Plusing, by the way, to zoom. Okay, we need to get rid of this right here. So I'm going to use, because I've got a raster mask or a layer mask, okay, I'm just going to use my brush. And right now, my brush is white. So you see how I'm painting it in? So I need to reverse that. And I can hit X, and that'll reverse it. Does this look familiar? Okay, it should. Up here in my brush categories, I can make it a little softer if I like. Okay. And I can go in and finally tune that. I also go in there with my magic wand, but I have to be careful because right now, again, that's all selected. Maybe if I reduce my tolerance, maybe that'll help. Try that again. I'm not sure what that's about. What the heck? Lord. Okay, I want to get my deselect, and my shortcut does not want to go, so I'm going to go undo. And that's not working. All right, whoa, rough. Okay, so let me go back, and I'm just going to brush it out because I do know, and I use the shortcut B there, I do know that that'll work fairly well. If I screw up right here, I can hit X, and I can bring it back. I can also take a little bit of this lasso if I wanted to. These are all things I could do in Photoshop. Okay, hit my brush, and that'll protect everything there. Oops, might want to be brushing out in black. If I do that, it stops me. It's like a little fence. Okay, it wasn't a really great spot there. However, I can go, and I Control-D that, by the way. I can always go back and reverse it. And get that back. My bracket keys will make it smaller. My mouse is really crappy, like majorly crappy. Okay, so I've got this. All right, well that's all I need for this simple one. Okay, so I would simply, if I wanted to submit this, I would go File. I can save this as a PSD, and we're going to come back to this in my next tutorial. So we're going to save it as a PSD. I do want to pay attention to where it's saving. So I might go down here and right click and say Show in Folder so that I know next time where it's saving. In my case, it's saving in the downloads. Okay, so that's good to know. So I've got that. Now, another option, if we were done with this, would be to go File, Export As, and then we could export as a JPEG. So this would be what you would do your finished product at. But remember, this is a two-step tutorial. So let's go ahead and save that as one for tutorial 1, and we're saving it as a PSD, and then we're going to close it out.